Can't say anything bad from now on.
It's not the video. All right, so yeah, are they working, both your, yeah, okay, so yeah, if you open up file 1, can you both see, does it open up like this, like your,
Yeah.
should show you infant coding, and then you can also look at file 2, and you should have your mum coding. So either you can scroll to the bottom there, or in your workspace, it tells you how many rows and columns are in that matrix. Yeah, so my one, for example, it's got 72 rows, file 1's got 72 rows and 3 columns, and file 2's got 237 rows and 3 columns. Yeah, can you see that? So you've got a number there.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what we want to do is basically delete the final row of these before we do anything else. So we're going to delete the last code before we do anything else. So straight after they've been loaded in, we are going to basically we're going to set the bottom row in all columns as blank. Okay. Yeah, so let's see if I can give an yeah. So to set something as blank, you just use empty square brackets. So you can actually always use square brackets to like show a like if you want to change a value, like put a number in, you can always use square brackets for like a cell in a matrix. But if you just have it empty, it basically just clears a row or clears a cell. So what we want, so you can try this out. How would you say that you want the final row of all columns in, let's say, file 1 to be empty? Can you think of a way to do it? So the same way we set, any examples of other things. Yeah, this kind of thing here. So the same way we set here, we set the matrix 1 table, we set row K column 7 as equal to the value K. We want to set file 1, the final row for all columns to equal like blank, basically. I'm going to give it a go. And then we can... I wish I could just like move around to one of your screens. That'd be fun. Any ideas or how you both doing
that? Do you find what like how many rows that you have by using length? So would it be like length comma?
Sorry, I've just like breathed in some cookie.
If you don't do that.
You can, and actually that's what we've done here. You can do this. This is what we've done here. Yeah, you can do that. There's actually a quicker way to do it. I think. Yes. Well, let's do it anyway. Let's put yeah. So how would you write? So what would you do for that?
Well, I put file 1 equals open brackets length comma what's this called? Colon. Close brackets, and it came up with an error.
So God. Okay. So what that does, so what you've done there is because you said file1 equals, you're declaring a new variable, you're declaring a variable called file1.
Okay.
And you are this is what file1 is going to be, although this doesn't work. You need to say the length of something. But what we actually want to do is okay, let's go back to this way. How would you get the value for, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So file1. Okay, this value here, 17215. Yeah. How would I get that? How can I like reference? How can I get that how can I get it to show 17215 at the bottom? But how can I reference that cell?
72, 1.
Yeah. So I just do this, right? File1, 72, 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I press play at the breakpoint, it will just give me the value there. So that's how we reference the thing, right? So there's no like equals sign or anything, because equals is declaring, that's you like setting a variable. So we want to reference the cell, and then we want to make, so what about if I wanted to turn that cell into a blank? So instead of just calling it, I'm going to actually change, I'm going to make it equals a blank. Yeah?
Yeah.
So I can literally just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm basically setting row 72, column 1 as blank. I can set it as anything. I can set it as the number 5, and if I run that, it will change in my file here to number 5. I can put it as blank, and it will change it to blank. Oh, not that. Another assignment can only have one. Oh, right. Sorry, this is when you want to set like multiple, use the blank when you want to set like multiple things as blank.
Okay.
So instead of it being, let's say I want to do row 72, how would I change this so that it changes, so let's say it's going to change it to the value 5, okay? Let's change that one to value 5. What do I do if I want to change, if I want it to be, and you've already said it, Bexy, but if I want to change it for row 72 for all columns to be the number 5?
To use what's it called? The colon. I can never remember.
Yeah. So if I run that, it should make all of these going across number 5. If I want to make them all blank, I can make them all blank. And it just gets rid of it. And that's what we want to do, right? That's actually what we want to do. We want to turn all of them into blank. But obviously not all of our files have 72 rows. So yeah. What have you put for it, Crystal? What did you?
Well, I was thinking that we have, we made a variable for that, right? We made a variable for what what the end of the row is.
Right, we did, or we could.
We did previously, so could we not just do that again?
We can do, yeah. You don't need to. There is a way just to reference the final row. So we could either do the length thing. So we could do length, but we have to put length of the file. I think you have to say length file 1, like that, and that will do it. And you can test it by changing the value and putting 5 or putting whatever. If you put, it'll clear it. I just want to check. I think you can also just write the word end. Yeah, you can just write the word end. You don't actually need to, and then you don't even need to reference the thing. You don't even need to write. You don't need to write length. You don't need to write the file name. You can literally just write the word end, and it does the final one. So you get that. So it's saying right on the end row for all columns in file 1 to become blank. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. My leg's gone to sleep.
Sorry, your leg's gone to sleep.
Yeah. It's awake now.
Too much Matlab for your leg.
Mm.
All right, yeah, and that's it. And then you want to do the same for file 2. You can literally just copy and paste and just change it to file 2. Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. Mine's cutting the last number out. So I have 80.
Have you used square brackets?
Mm-hmm. Is that not right? I should be using
Yeah,
square.
it is right. It is right. Sorry. So
Because I have 80, but it's cutting off the last one and keeping it 79. Is that right? To cut off the last one?
yeah, so the number should, if you look at my, just check. So if you look at my screen, so my original one here had 72 and 237, and now when I run it, it goes down by 1. So now I've got 7.26. We're just losing the last row basically because it makes it blank. So this clears a range basically.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Does yours work, Bexy, as well?
It did.
Nice. Okay, so that's that. That's that bit done. Nice. All right. Cool. So where were we? This we've got our matrix here. We've got this matrix, and we just haven't done our syncs, have we? We haven't synced it at all.
No.
No.
Okay. Okay. So, have we got? Does everyone have some LED files? I can't remember if we did these already.
I've just made one, I think, because I don't have them yet.
Yeah, I guess that's we can just make. Let me just show you mine actually.
Just two different numbers are just
Yeah, so for example, I'm doing number 26 here. So I've got in my files here, I've got I'm using this. These are my two. Am I using CSVs? I'm using this and that as my two codings. But then I've got a. Oh wait, no, sorry, I need to change. I'll do it for a different one actually. Yeah. So anyway, we need two files. We need two files. I'm actually going to create them so I don't have them myself. Actually, do you already have any, Bexy? Okay, so if you open up, if you open up Excel.
your LED from the time it starts to the time it finishes.
No. So all you need is the value when the LED first pops into the frame.
I saw two for yours, and I was like, oh.
Sorry, that's the old way I did it. I had both the infant and the mum one in there.
Oh right.
But then Emily had to send me. I got her to send me loads of files to test something with, and they do theirs with them in separate files. So I've now got to change this. So So basically, you have one that's just that is literally the whole spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And you save it. Save it as basically the same thing. So it'll be a CSV file. So you got to change it to CSV. 26.1, my one, Natsuc LED underscore inf. So yeah, do you want to make, if you can make some, you can make up the numbers. 63. And that's going to be underscore month. This is where it gets. This is where it gets a bit mad. Okay.
Sorry, I'm sitting next to the boiler. Starts making these. I used to be on really like important work calls, so I'm trying to like sell like £1 million worth of fucking automation, and then my boiler would go off, and I'm like,
Yeah, let me know when you've done that. Yeah.
all good.
I've done them.
All done, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right, nice. So basically what we want to do we basically need to shift all of the ones and zeros on either the mum or the infant side down. I hit an issue when I first did it where I didn't necessarily say it had to be pushing them down, but the problem was you can't push stuff up because it gets beyond row 1. And you could do it, you could work out how much you need to move it and then create new rows at the start, but move all the frame numbers, but it'd be a nightmare. So the easiest way to think of it is we're just going to shift one of the sides down, all the ones and zeros down. And because I don't know how easy it is to, yeah, let me just show you this actually, the kind of concept of this. So let's just say we've got 2 numbers. Just say we have 2 toys. So let's go to the bottom. And this goes. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why this works, but it does. But because of the way they sync, basically what we would do, because the way they sync is the frame numbers. Yeah, because like the sync point is like here, like these are all zeros in the infant, for example, and the mum starts at the beginning, and it'd be like this, but the mum finished earlier just because of the way it's synced up. But the way we've got it is we keep populating. We've got our matrix goes down to whatever the furthest frame point is of either of them. So both of yours will probably have a load of zeros on one side of your matrix at the bottom. And basically we're going to use that space. It'll automatically fill that space, so you don't need to create more frame numbers. Yes, there's my one. I've got a load of zeros at the bottom of the infant one for quite a while. So basically on this one, if I look at my one, I'm probably going to need to shift down the infant code. It's going to be the infant coding that needs to be shifted down, which is true because if I look at the values, the infants on my LED thing, my infant one starts earlier than my mum.
Mhm.
So because the infant comes in earlier, I'm going to have to push it down like 200 and whatever it is, 280 odd rows. And it'll get pushed down to basically the bottom of the matrix. So that's what we're doing. So basically, it's going to just shift everything down. But there's already rows already exist to take it, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
That makes sense. So yeah. So in this one, it would shift. For example, all of this would get shifted down 4 rows, but these 4 rows already exist because the baby's already got the infant's already got them. So this would all like shift down like that, and it would go down to the bottom. That's the kind of thing that it's gonna do. So what we need to do is work out how much we're going to shift it by, and then do the shift. So that first part is easier. It's easier. So what we're going to need to do, so we're going to need to. Okay, so I think yeah, you guys could definitely do this. We need to load in the 2 LED files, the 2 CSV files, and then you want to assign. You want to assign that the first cell or the number that's in the file. You want to assign that to a variable, like a sync value for the infant and a sync value for the mum. And then you want to work out what is your like overall value, which is the difference between the two, basically. Does that make sense? So yeah, so we want to first load in the 2 files and call them whatever you want to call them. I'll put some placeholder stuff here. So I'm going to call it LED file 1 and LED file 2. Actually, let's do that after this chopping. Sorry. I'll let you guys fill that in. And then yes, you could do it all in one row if you wanted to. I'm going to create a thing called sync val. That's going to be a sync value, which is going to be the difference between them. Okay. So we want something minus something else. See if you can do it all in one row, which is you could do that. So you want the first cell from the file. See if you can just fill that in. I don't know what takeaway to get tonight.
You're obsessed.
I haven't had takeaway all week. Good.
Dean, I don't know if you know, there's a thing called a kitchen.
Yeah, I've been cooking all week. Friday night. It's Friday night.
Right, you know what? It's how my life is. I get excited because at work on Friday nights it's Fish Friday, and I'm gonna miss Fish Friday.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Friday.
I start work at 9 or 8, half 8. So,
sorry, it's on Friday nights.
So your Friday, so like right now they're having Fish Friday, and I'm missing it.
Yeah, I was thinking about Fish Friday today because I was going to get fish and chips at lunch.
Fish Friday.
Yeah, Fish Friday is great. It really is great. Every workplace is Fish Friday. So good. Nice. How you guys doing with that?
Oh.
Yeah. Hmm.
Why?
Hmm.
Oh, my Matlab's frozen.
Yeah. No, no.
Like, oh.
Want to test it, like Bexley, or if you want to test, actually you can just press play and test if your things work.
Hmm.
Create a value called sync value in your workspace.
I think I need to put the. I need to put my files in the correct folder.
Mm.
That would help.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get back here. Hmm.
LED. What does exist?
I don't know what it's done.
Sorry?
I don't know what's happened.
Oh, in a good way or a bad way?
Where it's brought up some numbers.
At the bottom?
In the command window. I don't know if it's.
Oh, right. Maybe put some, if you put some semicolons, it will get rid of stop that happening.
I don't think I've done the minus. Maybe that would help. Hmm.
Yeah, so you need to calculate the value.
Mm-hmm.
What if you if you read it out to me, I can put in what you've got in here.
Let me just give this a go. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Is yours all right, Crystal?
I can't, for some reason, it won't load in my LED files.
Are they in the same folder?
Yeah.
They're saved as CSVs?
Mm-hmm.
Mine's worked. It's come up with minus 100.
Nice. And was the difference 100?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Bexy, do you know what it's called when? Oh, we can do it when I'll wait till Crystal's gone. Then we'll do it. What's it? Yeah, what's it doing, Crystal? Is it just not?
It just says error
What's the error?
in using load.
For CSVs.
Yeah.
Try instead of load, try read matrix. All right.
I've got the I've got none, NAN, all in the command window. Oh wait, let me just see if I do this. See if that works.
Are you load? Oh. It sounds like it's pulling in lots of different values from that sheet. Jonas, can you share it? Is it all right to share screen?
Yeah.
Share the Matlab window. Actually, no, because I might need to see your folder. You're fine. Yeah. That's fine. Cool. Wow. Okay. Where's your? What the hell? Why is it got? Can you open? Yeah. Can you open the files?
Yeah. So.
Oh, no. Also opening them in?
Oh, I don't have Excel on this.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That won't work.
You think that is?
That won't work.
Just.
You know what? Then, since you don't have it for now, let's just.
I'll tell you what. Well, you guys can carry on, and I'll just go on to Excel.
Hard code it. We'll just hard code the value for now.
Okay. Like I say, if not, I'll just go on.
Yeah. You know you can get it with the UEL now as well for free.
Yeah, I haven't downloaded it yet, but I just go on Office, and I'll just do it that way. And
Oh,
So,
can you do that and then save it on your computer? Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
I
That's
just,
cool.
I just thought, I was hoping that it would just be compatible, but it's obviously not.
Yeah, look, it's is it pages, not pages, numbers or
Yeah, it's fucking bullshit, to be honest.
Mac numbers. Matlab. Yes,
Fucking sign in thing.
yeah. No, apparently you can export them and then use read table. Okay. Yeah.
I'll
But
just,
no, we don't. Yeah.
I'll just stop sharing so you don't have to look it up. And I'll just save them as. I'm pretty sure this is what I did before, so I don't know why. I'm pretty sure this is how I did them.
Well, yeah, but the difference is I don't know why it's filled, got all these extra columns and rows. Basically, it would work if you get rid of all those other columns and rows. You know, it's showing you all those other columns and rows in the numbers file.
Yeah.
Get rid of all those the extra columns and the extra rows, then it will work. If you can just remove those. That's the area you'll get. All those ands are just because they're empty.
Empty. Yeah, just delete. Oh, yeah, I'll just delete all these. Okay.
Just gonna open my calendar. Nothing like a bit of Friday night Matlab.
Exactly. When I said I liked Ira that we're doing Friday night at Matlab, I was like, he looked a bit jealous.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Really?
Because he really tried to do Matlab Club and no one was interested, right? And
He loves Matlab.
Oh.
I'm not sharing, am I? Oh god. I might go into the lab more just to work. It's really. Have you been into the office bit of the lab?
I've not been in at all.
No, actually, it's great just for. I think I'll go quite a bit just to do dissertation stuff over the summer, even like on the weekend, because it's just nice to actually be there and not have any distractions. And they've got a whole office just for anyone that works in the baby lab.
Oh, I want to.
Is that the office which is just full of computers?
Yeah. Did you see the picture that Marta put in Slack of me and Emily putting up this post? It's in the. I think it's in the random channel on Slack. There's Emily had bought this. Like Emily Greenwood had bought this huge like sticker to put on the wall, like literally from ceiling to floor of a baby.
I'm scared.
The baby's not that tall actually. The baby only like comes in halfway down, but it's like a baby playing in a garden. This thing's enormous and it came in two huge stickers. So we put it up and it took ages to put this thing up on the wall. The Marta put a picture of me and Emily like struggling to stick this thing. But it's cool in there. It's nice to just, I think I'm going to go into work a bit just because it's distraction free. How's it going there, Crystal?
Oh. Why? Okay.
No?
At the moment, no, but we're gonna.
Hang on, you know what? Oh no, because you only got. Let me just send you. We can just send you a file here.
Yeah, just send me.
Chat. Doesn't really matter what the values are. You'll need to change the names, but.
I'm gonna download Excel on.
Let me share anything.
Weird because everything else is working. Just not.
You got WhatsApp open on your computer, Crystal?
I can get it open.
I'll send you these things.
Sorry about this, guys.
Computer doesn't want to connect to WhatsApp. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Which bit have you done? You've loaded them in, and you've also got a sync value as well.
I haven't got a sync value right now.
Okay. So yeah, did you both use the load? I think you can. The read. I think the read matrix is the one, the new one that they want us. They want Matlab.
I just did load.
Yeah, it does work for CS.
Yeah.
It gets funny with Excel. Okay. Cool. Any luck?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got sync value as well.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So what did you? Yeah, Crystal, what did you put in there then?
So LED file minus LED file, 2 minus LED file 1.
Oh, and that worked.
Yeah. Did it not work?
No, I don't think it shouldn't work. Interesting. Maybe because it's just one value. That's quite useful to know. How did you do it, Bexit?
What did I do? I put LED file, then open brackets 1, 1, close brackets, minus. Oh, so that's LED file 1, 1, 1, minus LED file 2, 1, 2, 1.
It's like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so it's the same. That's the same thing. That's interesting that it does the. Yeah, nice. That's useful to know, actually. Okay, so you've got a negative value, Bex, haven't you?
Yeah.
Mine's
100.
Swap yours, Crystal, LED1 and LED2, just so you get a negative.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna basically what we want to do is always have it as well. Is that the way to do it? Yeah. We basically, because we're going to be shifting one side down by a certain amount, we're always going to be shifting it by a positive number. So we need to convert whatever this number is. We're going to need to we actually will need to convert it into a positive number. Do you know what it's called? Like what it's called in maths? Like when you turn something into a positive number.
I mean, I probably did. I do remember learning it. I have no idea right now.
I don't remember.
So it's the absolute value.
Yeah, that's true. It's the absolute
value. So if I take, and the way you do it in Matlab is with ABS. So if I do if I'm down here in the command window, for example, if I take the absolute value of minus 1, 2, 3, and press enter, it gives me 1, 2, 3. It turns anything into a positive.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you do the function is abs, and then you put whatever you're doing in the brackets. So if we want the sync value to always be an absolute, then you just type ABS at the front. Yeah, you actually didn't need the brackets before, I guess, because you were just doing the But yeah, now we need the bracket around the whole thing to do the ABS. And you should, your sync value should now be positive.
Also, should I know that you guys have done the file, like 1,1. Should I do that, or is it all right just to leave it as?
It's cool. I think just doing what you had like this is also fine. Yeah. So if it works and you've got less, if you have to write less, it's always the way to go.
Yeah.
Might just put some comments in, so I'm just going to write load in LED files, make set sync value, just put a couple of things in. This one was clear the final code, row code. Just so we know what everything does. I'll call it LED sync. Okay. Now for the fun bit. So the way we had this, the way we did this last week, or whenever it was last week, was we have our infant, we've done these separately, right? Our infant coding and our mum coding. And these are just the same, these are the same thing on both sides, right? So one just does the first 7, the infant just does the first 7, and the next one does the last 7 columns. So yeah, we have 2 parts to this. So the first part populates all the frame numbers up to the first one in the file. So it looks at that first value and does -1, and then it runs from 1 up to that value, and it basically just puts in column 7 all the frame numbers. And then we go from there. After that, we go through each row of the infant file, and we look at column 3. And then within that, for each, we go from column 1 for that row, we go from column 1, so that's the start frame, to column 2, it's the end frame. And that's because that's a range. It will go like every number. So if it's 100 to 200, it'll go 100, 101, 102, 103, 104. And then within our matrix, in the 7th column, it's going to print the frame number, which is the number that we're on basically. And in the code column, so if it was coded as number 3, it will put it in column 3 for whatever that frame number is, because frame numbers equal rows. We're going to put the number 1. So what we want to do, so basically when we do the shift, the only thing we're shifting is the 1s and the 0s. We're not shifting the frame numbers, right? We're just shifting, we want the frame numbers to stay from 1 in the first row all the way down to 18,000 or whatever it is. And the frame number will always match the row number. So we're not going to be moving any frame numbers. They're going to be the same across. All we're going to move is the coding on one side or the other. Yeah? So the part in our script here, which does the coding, the 1s and 0s, is just this line. It's just this line here. Yeah? So because we've done these separately, actually, it makes it a bit easier. So basically, what we need to do, we're basically going to, either on the infant or the mum side, we're going to push down, we're going to print every, so like Bexley, for example, your value, the sync value is 100, right? So one of yours started 100 frames later or earlier than the other. So on one side, we're going to push all the 1s on either the infant or the mum side. We'll work out which one it is, but we're going to push them all down. So instead of it printing to like row I, we're going to print your one to row I plus 100. It's going to do 100. It's going to start printing 100 rows down from where it would have otherwise printed. So if it was going to print in row 1, and that one needs to be shifted down to be later to sync, we actually wanted to start in row 101, 101, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Can you just put in plus sync val?
yeah, that is what you do. Yeah.
But then you work out which one you're doing that in, right?
So yeah, have a think. That's what we need to think about. So does that make sense up to there? So it's basically the one that's going to need to shift is going to do this. It's going to be I plus sync val. Is going to make it row I, which is the frame number that we're looping through in our range, and plus the sync number, and in the column, whichever column infinite is, it's going to put a 1. The zeros remain the same because we actually pre-populated this huge thing with a load of zeros. So none of this, it's only the ones that we're now printing in ones in certain places, and we only want it to start like lower down on one side or the other. So have a think. I'm going to delete that for a sec. We need to work out one move. How might we work out which one needs to move?
It's got something to understand, like which one's greater than the other one, and then reference that to a.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to give away the answer here, so be careful with my language because it gives it away. So yeah, one of them is greater than the other. You want to find out which one of them is greater than the other, and what do you want to do when you work that out? Like, if you work it out? Okay, let's say it's, what do you want to do to the infant coding? The infant side, based on one of them being larger than the other. I'm just trying to not give away the answer.
It's like if this is larger than this, then move. If not, stay or something, right?
That's it. Yeah, that was really hard for me not to say the word if. That's literally it. So yes, and so on the infant side, you do it on both. So you basically check if, I need to work out which way around it is. I get confused. But if basically, like, if the mum value is greater than the infant value, then you move lower down. But if not, just print them in their normal place. And then you do the same on the mum side as well. And it means that because if you're running the same if statement, you actually run the opposite if statement. Only one of them only one of them is going to shift. You only want one of them to shift. Yeah. You either swap the if statement sign, the greater than or less than, or you swap what it does. So yeah, let's start with the infant one then. We need to work out which way around it is. I did this actually in a book. I don't know if you want to write it down. I did this by writing it down last time when I had to work out which I'm shifting. I'll give you a search I found really useful to do. I've done quite a lot of stuff just writing things down. I find quite useful sometimes to see when I'm shifting columns and things. So like, I don't know if you see this. You could even try one yourself now. I literally drew 2 timelines and I went like I was like infant, frame 0, frame 100, frame 200, mum, 100, 200, 300. And I was like, right, the LED blinks here. And I was working out, right, which
one has to shift.
Where they sync and which ones. Yeah, I was like, where does it sync on the infant and where does it sync on the mum? So like, if you draw it, if you got a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Or I could do it on a whiteboard. Unless you want me to do it on a whiteboard on Zoom.
Yeah, you could do that.
There's a whiteboard on Zoom.
Yeah, I've never done that before. You see the whiteboard?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, if we have like infants, we got the mum. Okay, so let's say the infant. Okay, what are your sync values, Bexy?
Mine were entirely made up. I think they were 835 and 935.
Okay, so we're saying that at 835 in like the real world, 835 in one of them and 935 in the other, the LED blinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the LED blinked at the same time in the world, but obviously the times are the same. Was it infant 835, or do you know which way around it was?
I think it's the infant. The infant was 835.
Okay, so infant 835, and the mum, what was it, 935?
Yeah.
That was 935. Okay, so we're going to put these on a timeline, but we know that's the point that they synced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we draw a line on both of these sides, both of these. If I put a 0 on here, no, actually, I'm going to put it here. I put a 0 here,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's put like where would the 0 be on the mum one?
Yeah. Like off the graph.
No, I've done it deliberately this way. Well, what would this value be under here, right here, where the 0 is?
10.
So this is we've got minus. Oh wait.
That'd be 100.
Yeah, right. Sorry. I've done that. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. I meant to do it that way around then. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. So where would the 0 be on the infant? Yeah. Thanks. So the 0 would be in a bit on here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Because 835 here would be somewhere like this.
Yeah.
Okay, so so if the hang on, let me just get my book out. This doesn't look like it helps, does it, right now? But it would. I found it really helpful when I did it before. So the LED, the LED is here, right? So this is the LED blinking. This is the LED blinking. So the mum. So which one? So if at point 0, if in frame 1, the infant was coded, the number. Let's say the infant was coded at 3. Let's say the mum, her frame 1, the infant was coded at 4. Which one needs to shift? Which one needs to move? Which one needs to move down? So we're actually looking across here from 0. We're looking like horizontally from 0, where 0 is at the left and 18,000's at the right. But R1 is obviously 0 at the top and 18,000 at the bottom. Which one needs to shift along? Which of the frame numbers needs to which of the codes needs to shift, the infant or the mum?
Mum needs to shift.
Did you say something, Kristen? No.
Yeah, does the mum need to shift down?
I can't hear you. Wait, why can't I hear you? Can I hear none of you? Bexy, can I hear you?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can't hear either of you.
No.
Oh, I can hear you now. Sorry, were you talking?
Okay.
Sorry if you were both talking, I was just ignoring you. Sorry, I had it on mute. Sorry. Sorry. What? Yeah, I missed all of that. Yes.
Mum needs to be shift down.
Yeah, the mum needs to shift down. Mum needs to shift down. Exactly. So yeah, basically it would be this whole. So if I drew like a box around all of them. If I draw a box here, so all of these here, all of these values need to all shift down to line up with the infant. Okay, so we know that it's the mum that's going to shift in this case. So the mum would be row I plus sync val when we do our thing. But what's the case of that? So if what? So is the mum larger? Is the mum not larger? The mum's larger than the baby. Is the mum? If the mum
is.
And is the sync value? If the mum's sync value, I'm just gonna put mum's sync val, is larger or less than, then we're gonna shift mum. I'm just gonna write shift mum.
Larger than.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, does that make sense? Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Because this is just a demonstrate. This is how I did it, just to work out which one I'm shifting. Because I'm like, okay, so I know I need to shift the mum here. Oh, okay, and the mum is the larger one than the infant. So that means that when the number is larger, that's the one that you shift, basically.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Close this one. That's
But that's actually was really helpful because I did the opposite way around until I saw that.
yeah. Yeah, I did it the wrong way around. I had to change my codes as well. The first time I did it.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's put it in. So in here, in the well, let's do. It doesn't matter which one it is because we shift the one that's larger always. You know. We shift the one that's larger. So we're going to say if. So this is the infant one, right?
Yeah.
So what's the condition where we shift the infant one?
So if LED file is greater than LED file.
Should we change these names to LED file inf and LED file mum? That make more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, change them in both of these. Is that all right? Yeah.
Yeah.
LED file inf and both, and then in the sync value file one as well. Just because then the logic, it just sounds.
Where am I now? Yeah, LED. What if I just change it to?
So there should be three rows where you change it.
In. If LED file inf is greater than LED file mum.
It's greater than LED file mum, then
Matrix 1
matrix 1
I plus sync val code inf.
code inf.
Yeah. And then do you just do else?
Else. Yeah. So else just means if it's not bigger than it, or
Yeah. Do you have to do the LED file smaller than LED? Do you have to do that again, or you can just say else?
You can just do else. Else just does all the other cases, but the problem is else is also if they're equal to each other, which actually is fine. If they are equal to each other, then we don't do any shifting anyway. So else covers both smaller and it covers equals. So anything that's not greater than, basically.
Else matrix 1 normal.
Yeah, and it's the normal one without the sync. And then how do you end? I've just said it, but yeah, we need to end the if statement. The if statement. Nice. And then for the mum, we got the same thing here. It's the same row. It's the same one down here. So this time our row/frame number is J, and we've got code mum +7 because we're going up to like row 14. Well, no, sorry, not row 14, because we're doing, if it's toy number 1, then we want it to go into column 8. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, same thing there. So if we're going to shift the mum, what's the condition?
If LED file mum.
Yeah.
Is greater than.
Yeah.
LED file.
Okay. Nice.
Matrix J plus sync.
Yeah, J plus sync file.
Code mum plus 7 equals 1 else this.
And yeah, remember to put these semicolons at the end of these ones as well. You don't have to, but yeah, otherwise it will put loads of stuff into the. Actually, you should. Otherwise, it will just take forever to show stuff at the bottom. Just thinking, before you don't press play. Have you already pressed play, either of you?
Not yet.
Okay, before you press play, just open up your matrix 1 as you've currently got it. and just make a note actually somewhere what row number your mum ones and your infant ones start in. Just to be interested, just to so we can check that it works. So mine, yeah, so I've got mine starts in row 1. My mum starts, I might have to scroll down quite a way, but mum starts in 608. Now for me, my mum one was larger than my infant, so I'm expecting my mum one, weirdly, to shift down. Yeah, I'm expecting my mum one to start even later, which is odd. But oh, but I made up the values actually, didn't I? So yeah. I think so. Yeah, once you've written those down, then you can run it and see if it's shifted the right one.
Come a long way since then.
Just gonna check if it's actually correct.
Well, it depends on what you mean. What age is? Hold on.
5.
Hold on a second.
How far is the break point in there?
Damn it. 2 seconds. I'm just trying to cut through the Bluetooth. Hold on. Let me clear it back. All right, talk to me.
Ah, interesting. Mum number 2.
Nothing. I did, yeah.
I've done it the other way around in my original script.
Ah,
Let me see which way I've done it here, actually. Hang on. My new one. Yeah, weird. I've done it the other way around.
so you've done the greater than, less than signs the other way around,
Yeah.
which is what I did originally.
What do you mean?
Like my first, before I looked at your code, that's what I did as well. I did if the thing is smaller than that one, then move. Like if the inf is smaller than the mum, then move the inf by that many numbers. The smaller one then would hit the 116 at the same time.
Yeah, that's what makes sense, doesn't it, logically?
So it would move the smaller number rather than the bigger number.
No, yeah, although this like timeline logic, it makes sense that the bigger one moves, no?
Yeah, but I was thinking that like, so I've got the same numbers as you, right? We have 1186 and 1463. So I put it that like the smaller one needs to, if it's to get them numbers to be synced up, we need to add the sync value onto the smaller one, so they're flash both at the same time. If we add two blah 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 onto the 146, it's just moving the thingies further, the LED numbers further away, right?
What's the matter with you?
Yeah, that must make sense, right?
No, absolutely not. Of course, it's not alike. Or see,
My matrix now that I pushed my numbers that were already applied. Yeah, now I've got loads of zeros at the end of my loads at the end of my infant one. Let me swap these around, see what happens.
well, yeah, but like, all right, back in the 90s, right? Having a phone, a cordless phone was a big deal. We're talking about
Now, whatever's happened is my ones haven't started at 1. They should.
Yeah, they should.
Zero's at the top now until.
Yeah.
So,
To your sync value +1.
yeah, until I think I'm probably going to be 200 off now.
279. If you use my value, if you 278, if you use the same as me, should be
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Oh
no, it's 27.
Let's think. Is yours working back to as well?
But then that means
Yeah.
it started at. But that means that we have loads of zeros, right, from the top of the matrix.
If I start recording,
Mm.
I'll start recording there. You start recording there. That's new frame 0. That's new frame 0. Then D is going to blink. There, and it's there.
Should have shifted by.
I still think it's the bigger one that's got to move. No, hang on.
But if we want to, so we want to start it right, so that they're right at the top, right? We want to start. They both start from 1, right?
Yes.
So do we not need to actually not add this and just minus it?
Sorry, because we're not using LED frames, are we? We're using actual frames. Sorry, I think I drew the wrong thing on the whiteboard. Stupid whiteboard. Yeah, because actually what we've got in real life is we've got two set. We're coding. We've got 2 videos that do start at frame 0 in their own right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our LED just blinks at different points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if our LED, I'm going to actually keep it on higher here. I'll move this thing. Okay, yeah, this makes more sense. If I move that across, so these are where our LEDs blink, right?
Yeah.
So our values are 935 for the mum and 835 for the infant, and we need these to sync up. We need the LEDs to sync up. Yeah. So we move.
So you need to move the infant.
To move the infant. Yeah. Move the infant.
But I was thinking this, but we don't want to. Surely, are we wanting to move the infant so just at the beginning there's no code, or do we want to do it so it cuts off the beginning and goes to 0? Do you know what I mean? Actually goes that way and cuts off the beginning code.
No, just because it's a pain to do it in Matlab. To go back before row 1 means we have to we have to start doing all this. We have to first calculate this value and which one we're going to move, and then we have to create a load of empty rows at the top, and then our frame number system doesn't work. We have to do a whole shift of the frame number. This is you saw it like 3 lines of code in each one. It's really simple.
Yeah,
It makes sense because in real life in real life, like when the LED blinks, the infant might be looking at toy 1, and in real life, when the LED blinks, but LED is like the real life thing, the mum might be looking at the baby. And we need both of those to be at the same time because they've looked at these things at that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, move the infant. Okay, nice. That makes sense now. Does that make sense to both of you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. That was, yeah.
Don't worry, I did it as well.
Nice. So all we need to do is swap the
Things around the other way.
around those 2 signs just to make less than. That's it. And then you run it, and you've got your almost your final matrix. You've still got a load of zeros and your frame numbers at the bottom. On one of them will probably have a load of zeros at the bottom, right?
Yeah. Once I get there.
Yeah, let me know when you've done that.
I've done it.
Cool. Wow. Nearly there. Nearly got it. This is just step 1. This isn't even analyzing anything. Cool. That kind of thinking like that comes up a lot when you start looking at the leader and follower stuff. I found is I started using my paper, like my book loads, to actually think like where am I looking for before and afterwards, with windows and how am I, time windows and things. And
Which paper's that?
no, like I just draw things in my notebook just to help.
Ah, okay.
Visualize it. Cool. Okay, yeah, let's just add the last bit of this then, which is just to fill in these. You should both have empty frame numbers or zeros on one of your frame number columns at the bottom.
Yeah.
They don't have the same number of frame numbers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, we need to fill them in. So again, we're lucky that our row numbers and our frame numbers are the same because it means we can always set these values. To, one, we can just set this to the row number, which is nice. There might be other ways to do this, but the way I did it was I basically looked through this column for any zeros, and they're only going to be at the end. And if there are any zeros, I just fill them in with their row number. And did the same. So I had to Google like, oh, how do you find in Matlab finding? Let me show you what we looked up. Matlab find value in column. I think that's probably what I did, something like that. How to find row position of a value in a column. And this is probably what I did. No, it wasn't that actually. Yeah, that wasn't that. This is kind of how I find lots of the stuff I just use. Yeah, this is what I use the isMember thing. I use find, I don't use all. There's a simpler way of doing it, but yeah, I tend to just Google these things and then find them, test them out. All right, anyway, let's type it. So that's the thing to do anyway. So we need to do it separately for the mum and the infant first. So what we're going to do is So I just want to see something. Mum. What's this for this? No, that's not working. Okay, so I just wanted to check. I wanted to test something. Okay. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to create like we're going to create an array. So an array is a load of values. So like if I do like, I'm going to call a new. Let's say I'm just going to do it down here so we can see. Well, let's say I create an array called the variable name's my array. I'm going to make it equals. It's just like a list of values. So I might have 3, 45, 197, and that's my array. So if I press play, not play. My array. Ah. Oh, this is not going well today. Oh, there we go. It's done it. Okay. It will basically, creates this. It's created in my workspace called my array. And I can basically call like things from it. So I can say, okay, I want the third value. Hang on. I'm not sure which is that. Yeah. So I want the third value from the array. So it's similar to the matrix, but instead of rows and columns, it's just got one list. It's just a single row, essentially. If I open it, it's just a single row of a load of numbers. So you don't have to reference row and column, you're just referencing straight into a thing. But you arrays you'll see with like often with the square brackets, which is I think why it links that thing with the row that we did before, where we did the whole row and that range we did with the square bracket for the blank. So what we want to do is we want to create a list of numbers, which are going to be all our frame numbers, or row numbers, which is the same thing, where all the row numbers where in that column, the frame column, there's a 0. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to call it. We can call it like an index, is like the reference. So I'm going to call it like index. Well, let's call it something else. It's a bit more logical, I guess. Let's call it infant. I don't know. 0 frame rows. Is that a bit long?
Not fun.
0 frame rows is going to be, make sure it's right then. So then we do this thing, we do find, this is just a thing, two functions, find and isMember. Then we want to put what we're looking in. So we're looking in the matrix. So whatever what's your matrix name? Whatever that is. Mine's matrix 1 here. And then we want to look, we want to look down that whole column. So how do we reference that entire column? We've got to do it as rows and columns again.
So 7.
So it's going to be column 7. Which rows? How do we do the rows for all rows?
Colon.
Yeah, nice. Favorite word. So that, and we're going to look for, I forget to do a comma. Yeah. And then comma, and now it's the search term. So we're going to look for the 0. You need 2 brackets there to close everything off. So that's that. We've just set that. And actually, we could probably just run that. Put a semicolon. I think. Can we run that? Yeah, you can run it, and actually, you should get an array. Oh, it's done it as a. Okay, fine. It's done it going down. Doesn't matter. Yeah, you should get a list of all those numbers. You got that?
Yeah.
Nice. So these are the row numbers in our matrix where we're going to want to put in these numbers. If that makes sense. So like for me in row 17,215 in that column, I want to put in 17,215.
Mhm.
Can you think of what type of function we need to use? We need to loop through all of these, this whole thing, go through all of these and do something with each row. We need to do something. So what type of like function are we going to use?
Is it the looping function?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's 2 types of loops. We've only actually done one. So yeah, so there's for loops and while loops. But yeah, it'll be the for loop because we're gonna go through everything. Yeah, we use the for loop. So exactly. So let's do that. So yeah, we do the for. We do for. We define the range. Then we do something for every number every time we increment in that range. So let's do that. So for. So we're going to have a range, and we need to call that range. We need to give it a variable name. Okay.
Mhm.
So we could use a letter, or we could use whatever you want. What do you want to call it? Do you want a letter or?
Yeah, I could do it better.
Just
Sorry?
call it T.
Teeth. Okay. So now, how do we create? We want this range. We want to go through this file all the way down to the bottom. Wait, hang on. Sorry, no.
Mhm.
Oh, you can do it that way. Actually, there's 2 different. Oh, I've done it that way. There's different ways to do it, actually. Yeah, there's different ways to do it. Okay. Yeah, okay. But there's 2 ways. There's 2 ways to do it. I did it differently the other way, but yeah. How would we loop through this? How do we set the range? So we want to go from whatever your value is in row 1, cell 1, all the way down to whatever your value is in the last row. So how would you? Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
So, so do you start with inf
Yeah. So we need to say which thing we're looking in first.
rows?
Yeah.
Then
And then we're going to define.
that
Let's do it like this. Let's define our range. Yeah, we can define it. I think we can just define it. We can define it. I have to check that actually. Yeah, and then let's go between. So we got which rows are we going between?
All of the rows.
Sorry.
All of the rows. Like.
Yeah, does that work?
Between like 1 and whatever the last one is.
Yeah. How do you find the last one? Just one very short word.
Length.
Yeah, or
and
with length we have to put the name in again of the table. I think we changed it at the top.
End.
Yeah. From 1 to end.
Mm.
So T is going to be, for me in my one, T is going to, when it loops through, first it's going to be 17,250. That's going to be the first value.
Mm.
So for each of those values, what do you want it to do to our matrix?
Print.
Yeah, so matrix 1, where's it gonna print it, and then what's it gonna print? That's always like the order of how we think.
It needs to print it in the T.
Yeah, in the T row, exactly. So yeah, 17215 in that row. Which column?
7.
7, great. And what value are we going to put in?
The T value.
Yeah, because it's currently a 0. So we want row 17,215 in the frame number column to say 17,215.
Mm-hmm.
So in that row, we want it to say that number.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yep.
And then the end.
Yeah.
I just want to check that works because, yeah, I think it has. Nice. Yeah, it's different how I did it last time. It's the same thing. Nice. And then you need to do the same for the mum. So basically, if there are no zeros, then the array that you create, this infant 0 frame rows, will just be empty. So it will have nothing to run through.
Mm-hmm.
If mum.
Well, that's really interesting actually. See if it errors, because we've done it differently last time. I'm going to say, yeah, just copy and paste, and you can change your variable names and change the columns that you're looking in and stuff. And change the T as well. The T needs to. The T doesn't actually need to change because it does one then the other. We'll do the infant stuff then the mum stuff.
What row is in 14?
I think it's worked anyway. Yeah. Did either of you have the mum ones as zeros?
No.
No. Did you, Crystal?
Not sure. Let me just check.
Mm-hmm.
I think from down to the bottom it has one. No, I think it's all.
Okay.
It's got code at the bottom.
And yeah, so that should, if you run that, it should fill in all your zeros. Your bottom row should always have a 1 in somewhere on one side, or at least on one side. Oh yeah, that's also why you definitely don't shift the other. Yeah, it would have just deleted stuff. Yeah, so yeah, you definitely
Mm.
nice. Is it working?
Mm.
Oh.
I didn't put an end in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Bex's worked.
No, mine was coming up with an error code. Let's have a look into it again.
Should have put a comment at the bottom here. So
It's worked.
Right. Amazing. So yeah, I've just put these comments at the bottom here. I've just written fill in any empty frame numbers at the bottom, infant, and fill in the empty frame numbers at the bottom. Just put that, just so I know what those do. And that is the end of the message. Yeah, that's it. I can show you, like, if you look at my screen, you still see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like now that it's like this, you can immediately start to see things. Like if you look, like for example, so I got my mum on the right here, like I just found a place, this is right at the start, like she starts to look, she looks at the baby, and then she switches and looks at toy number 3, like split second. The baby's well, uncodable, so who knows what it's doing. Then she looks back at the baby, and the baby's still inattentive, or the mum's looking at her. Then the baby looks at number 3. I don't know if that is linked to the fact that mum looked at number 3 before, but then the baby's looking at number 3, and this is quite cool. So then the baby looks at the mum for a while, and looks back at number 3.
And they're both looking at
Both doing it, yeah. They're both, and then the mum looks at number 3 for quite a while. So this is where this is how it's so much more visual now than when it's like this, and you can start to see all the leader-follower dynamics.
Yeah.
This is the thing that they were talking about when which call was it? Was it Emily's presentation on Wednesday? Is that what it was? When Emily was talking about interpolating through partner looks. I don't remember her mentioning that. That's like, there's the question, with those graphs that she showed us where she has, the ones that we've tried to replicate and can't quite do. She has these lines that run through some of the periods of like, and those are just when like the baby's like here, like when the baby's looking at toy 3 and then it looks at the mum and then goes back to toy 3 and then looks at the mum and back to toy 3. The line continues right through toy 3.
Do you know where the recording of that is saved? Because they missed the.
Oh, you missed it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if it's been put up yet. But it's definitely it was recorded.
Yeah.
You put it in Slack though. If you just post and tag Sam and just say I'm putting up Wednesdays.
Okay.
He puts them straight onto YouTube. So if he hasn't already, actually worth just quickly checking. Check since. But yeah, so that line, so that when the baby looks between like toy 3 and partner, back to toy 3 partner, toy 3 partner, it kind of essentially ignores the looks away to the partner, and it just this line just goes through the whole episode of toy 3, and that's what she means by interpolating looks to the partner. And you can see it here, like you can immediately see how the baby's like looking at the toy and then it's looking at the mum to kind of check it's there and then back. So you wouldn't count each of those new instances of looking at the toy as a lead or a follow. You kind of count the whole episode as one thing, and the very first time, that's the only real first frame for that episode. And that's so that's the stuff. Yeah, that's what I started to think about the other day. I was talking to Emily about how I might do it in Matlab with this, but yeah. Now the fun begins after this. But yeah.
Analysing now and.
Now analysing it. Yeah. Nice. We have a matrix. Good work, guys. Nice.
Dean, I don't know how I'd have done this without you.
Same.
I think as well, like the more you do, so the analysis is all the same. To be honest, it's just using the same things. It's just more for loops, it's all the same kind of stuff. Yeah, all the same kind of stuff, really. So yeah, I mean, maybe the thing to do, like, because we can just carry on and we can even try some analysis on something, but maybe have like a think about like what you'd like to analyze. Like, what do you want to find out from a spreadsheet? Like, if you do want to look at some of these leader follower things or something, or whatever it is you want to look at, and then we can kind of set that as our objective and try and brainstorm how we would do it.
Sounds good.
Sounds really good.
Um,
I'm gonna do that. I'm going to re-download Matlab back onto my laptop.
the other one, just we can see if we can get it working. Yeah.
Yeah, even if I can't do it with all this isn't using Psych Toolbox, is it? So it's just to work out coding and stuff. So just thinking even just to play around at work with, because if I can't get Psych Toolbox and to load the videos, at least I can just play around with some code.
True. We'll try and get Psych Toolbox working again on there.
Yeah, I keep looking at buying a new laptop, but
yeah, I just don't know why it wouldn't. I can't remember now what your error messages were, but
I don't know, my graphics card is not enough. I haven't got enough space and it's old, and I just think maybe that's why. So
we might need to just do an older version of Psych Toolbox and GStreamer, because that often is they actually say, I've reread, more recently I've read, you should download the version of Psych Toolbox that was released just before your laptop, the year your laptop was made. Because otherwise they're putting on things that your laptop just doesn't have, right?
Psych Toolbox out in 2010?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, amazing then. We're all good then.
Yeah, have a look. But we could try again. We could try the more recent one anyway and see if it works. And we can see if we can get it working.
Yeah.
I've spent so many hours just trying to get that